with Leon, I feel like he has the ability to kind of expose a lot of guys, but he don't like to take risks, right? And with that being said, it's going to lead to a performance that it's not going to be really fun to watch. Niggas going to be sleeping in London again like this. Right? What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Brick Brother Podcast. Make sure y'all lock in, like, share, and subscribe to this video. You know what I'm saying? And let's get to the episode.
All right, man. A lot of new announcements, that the UFC's made, pressers and everything for upcoming fights.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. Jean Silva versus Bryce Mitchell. What do you think about that potential matchup? Did you see the press conference?
No, yeah, I saw all of that, man. Bryce standing on business. You hear me?
You're barking up the wrong tree.
Right. About that flat earth, you hear me? I think it was pretty crazy with Sean bringing in the globe, though, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that whole, like, interaction between how that fight even got made with, you know, Sean, you know, calling him out, Jean, calling him out, you know, after his fight. And then, you know, Bryce Mitchell like, hey, come on, let's run it. You know, like I said, they making the match, make his job a lot easier, right? So they, you know, called up Bryce Mitchell. They like, hey, bro, you really want to run it? He said, bro, hell yeah, bro. For the flat earthers, man, I got to do it. You know what I'm saying? So they end up making this fight happen. But I think, to be honest with you, this should be a fun matchup, right? This should be a fun fight to actually watch. Even with Bryce Mitchell, I'm not saying like the best striker, right? But very competent on the feet, you know, but don't get it twisted. Like him on the ground, very lethal. You know what I'm saying? A straight up killer. So, this is a stylistic matchup, striker versus grappler, that, you know, is always a fun little fight to watch.
Well, I just think that it's funny. You know, Dana, he was saying that, you know, that they promote free speech and they allow people to do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
As you see, it was on full showcase for both gentlemen at the presser.
Yeah.
And then also he said, you know, if you don't like Bryce Mitchell, just hope the next guy kicks his ass. And I think they gave somebody potentially
right.
To do that for people.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dana was in.
And speaking of talking, like, I don't think they really asked Bryce Mitchell no questions up there, bro. Like for real, like if I can remember, like I don't even think he was talking, bro. Like, dude was just...
No, I didn't watch the full presser.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed to be more reactionary in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people probably didn't like what, you know, some of the antics of what Bryce Mitchell was saying and the things of that beforehand, so they're more hesitant to have a conversation with him. But I just thought it was funny because I think Dana and some of I'm only speaking from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not speaking for any inside knowledge or anything. But it seemed like they weren't too happy with the things that Bryce Mitchell had to say, and they gave him a not the most favorable matchup.
Mm-hmm.
One would see it as if the fight goes to the ground, it's Bryce's matchup. Fight to be won, and if it stays on the feet, it's one for Jean Silva. So they didn't do him any favors. Jean Silva, you see what the fight nerds are doing. They've been kind of destroying everybody. What has any of them lost in the UFC yet?
I think a couple from that camp, but the strong, powerful,
the four, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who've really been carrying the flag, you know, have been just killing everybody. Rufy coming off of that big knockout, and then Jean Silva, Jean Silva coming off of that victory just a couple weeks ago, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So I just find it to be entertaining. You know, we get to see a little bit of Jean Silva's personality now outside the case. Even though he'll speak English the best he tried.
Now, to be honest with you, I think he always had a great personality, right? But now he on the stage, right, on the presser, showcase it a little bit more, be a little bit different. But I would have to say this to Silva, like regardless of Bryce Mitchell and people how they feel about him. That boy's still a fighter, bro. You know what I'm saying?
A real good fighter.
And this is the crazy thing. You know Bryce Mitchell got that Bible right now, quoting them verses. This is a dangerous Bryce Mitchell, I feel like, you know, at the end of the day. But we all know styles definitely make fights, you know, but I'm always that guy right here, man. The mind is the most important thing. So regardless of how Silva, you know what I'm saying, is very, let's say, just a character, you might want to take this dude serious. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day.
Well, I think it plays into how he actually fights as well. He's a showman in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not necessarily showman, but, you know, amping up the crowd in between interactions with the striking and, you know, kind of, you know, being showy when he's evading punches. he has, like you said, has been showing that personality, but obviously we haven't been able to really listen to him speak at large.
Mm-hmm.
And this was kind of first moment for him to be able to do that. I don't think he's going to take Bryce Mitchell lightly, but also I think that Bryce Mitchell has his hands full.
100%.
If he's not able to get this fight to the ground, I think it's going to be a very long night for him. I think Bryce Mitchell is as good as it comes when it comes to the grappling aspect, but we've seen him against Topuria and him having a little trouble against a really good striker and not being able to get them to the ground. So we'll see if Jean Silva has holes in this game when it comes to the grappling, and we'll get to see, if Bryce Mitchell can, beat a real dangerous up-and-comer. I just think that it's funny because you mentioned something that's very true. Don't get it twisted. As silly as Bryce Mitchell can be, whether you don't like the things he said about politics or, science or whatever, right. I didn't say take political advice from him. I didn't say take science advice. I don't know if I take math advice from Bryce Mitchell. But what I will say, he could fight his ass off. That's one thing you can't take away from him. So I think that'd be a great fight, a banger. The UFC will get what it wants either way, in my opinion.
Most definitely. Yes, sir.
It's going to be extremely entertaining. I don't see this one being boring. I think the two styles that both of these gentlemen have and how committed they are to fighting their fight and fighting their pace.
Somebody going to get sent to the camp.
Yeah. It's going to be an exciting match. And I think Bryce Mitchell means every word he said. I think Jean Silva means every word he said, right. which isn't always the case in MMA.
100%.
Another big fight. You didn't want to see it. Spoke about this a couple weeks ago. It seems to be a thing, whether we like it or not. Ilia Topuria has vacated his title, and it looks like he'll be fighting.
It looks like what?
Oh no, him and Islam are slated to fight each other.
What's the date?
I mean, look.
What's the date?
No,
because you said I'm telling you right now that fight not gonna happen.
The issue I have is you got Della number, you got.
I called the nigga. He ain't pick up.
You got the big dog, so you asking me, but no, they're supposed to fight each other. That's why Islam already vacated his belt. Do you feel like, first off, before you think this fight's gonna happen tonight, do you think this is a smart move by Ilia Topuria?
I don't know about smart move or nothing like that, but great opportunity. So at the end of the day, bro, it's about getting a bag. I keep saying that, right? It's about getting this money, man. This is a very big business where, you know what I mean, if you're making some noise and you're doing great things and you accomplishing, great goals, you're trying to chase that bag down. So it's a big bag that comes with fighting Islam, especially for that lightweight belt and that lightweight title. But at the end of the day, though, it's just like, are you going to be able to succeed with that opportunity, right? Are you going to be able to make the most of it by winning? I don't think Topuria got the tools necessarily to beat Islam. Obviously, yes, they say he's a big 145, but it's one thing, sparring, knocking buddies out, right? He done knocked out 170s. Nigga, I done knocked out heavyweights. Nigga, I ain't Jon Jones. Nigga, bring your ass here, right? So it's just like, at the end of the day, it's just like, I feel like you need to not only prepare yourself, but actually look at the rankings at 155 and put yourself in a position like, okay, me fighting an Armin, me fighting a Charles Oliveira, right? Beating those guys, I know I can win that. Because the thing is, it's one thing to get the shot. Morcano got the shot. Nigga lost, bro. No, it's you laughing. No, because it's the truth.
I get what you said.
It's just like, okay, it's a great opportunity, but you want to succeed. You want to win. I think this dude is risking a lot by making this move because we already seen what Volk did, you know what I'm saying, when he made that move up and he lost twice, you know what I'm saying, and then the departure of his career. So I feel like Topuria, in my heart, like this is not the best move for him, moving up to 155.
Well, I see it very similar to how you see it, but a little different. I think that he didn't love, from what I hear, he didn't love making that weight anyway, and he kind of was transitioning out of the weight class. Now, I do agree with one thing that you said. It is a little different sparring to fighting against that competition. We've seen guys who have caped for, maybe in between, some of these weight classes where they've been between 55 and 70, a hybrid in between two weight classes. And I don't know that Topuria does look solid for lightweight, but he doesn't look big for the lightweight division, if that makes sense. You saw Justin Gaethje in physique fight recently. You saw how big Justin Gaethje looks. You see how big Khabib looks. I'm not sure Topuria is that size. And when you get guys who are very, very talented, those small things do matter. Extra 5 or 10 pounds of natural weight means a whole lot. So I think that's where the question comes. And then obviously you being able to wrestle and going through the transitions against guys your own size is different than going against guys who are a little bigger. And they're the best of the best as it comes. I don't know that you have somebody as well versed as an Islam Makhachev at the 45 division right now. Somebody who's able to wrestle and do at that level, and and also with the strike and everything. I'm not sure that's the case. And then the range changes fighting the bigger guys and the distance management, and then you lose a little bit more of your gas tank carrying heavier weight. There's a bunch of variables and factors that you have to be really locked in. But I think that he sees the success that Volkanovski had in the first fight. People forget how close that fight was, and he had Islam in a lot of trouble.
I told you because he didn't have his cousin Khabib in the fight. That's why.
Regardless of the fact. So I think Topuria, I just knocked Buddy out. I knocked Max out. They're having success at 55. Let me give it a try.
Right.
Let me see let me show everybody what I've been able to do against these guys. And if they can have success, I can do it too. And I think he honestly.
But the thing about that MMA math, sometimes just don't play.
It don't always add up. But I see where he's coming from. If you don't love the weight and you can do the same thing at a different weight, I think he wants to try.
Right.
And then you see what it did for Conor McGregor's career, that propelled him being a featherweight champion and getting the lightweight champion, and it just took him to new heights. And I think that's what he wants to do. A little easier said than done. I have to respect it because you want to go for greatness and you beat everybody that's put in front of you. I respect it, but I wish he was able to.
See, I love how you said beat everybody that's in front of you, but the boy's still missing out on a couple options at 145.
Agree. I told you I want to see him fight Mosari Voyev. I love to see that fight. I think that's the fight that makes the most sense for me. Potential fight with him and Diego Lopez, that intrigued me as well.
Yeah.
But as far as that goes, we probably won't see it.
What's up? So I ain't trying to cut you up, but
good.
What's up with guys not trying to clean out their division? What's going on with that, man? What happened to that? And look, I'm all for moving up and getting that double, champ status, but it's just like, bro, you want to make it definitive that, bro, I'm the best at this weight class, right? And with Topuria, right, I think it's only one defense that he had, right? With Islam, rightfully so, only 2 defenses when it comes to lightweights. It's the truth. You know what I'm saying? So it's just at the end of the day, it's just make it proven that, holding it down, even though it took Islam some fights to get there. Not gonna lie, right?
A lot, yeah.
It took, how many did it take though?
I don't know, it was a lot.
It was about 7, 8. I know it wasn't double digits. But regardless though, it's just do that same thing with your defenses now, right? Where it ain't no fucking argument, you know what I'm saying, that you hold it down at lightweight, And then my thing is, this too is just now, if you really, really, really want to claim that you the best, you pound for pound, why you keep trying to fight the 45ers? Come on up. Come on up.
But in my opinion, I think you blaming the wrong people.
Who I'm blaming?
Before a certain someone, everybody was worried about clearing out the division. We had Anderson Silvas.
Yeah.
We had Jon Jones.
Yeah.
We had the
George.
the GSPs.
Yeah.
Until Conor McGregor came, he's the one who really was the first person to get that double champ status or champ status.
Without no defense.
And really didn't defend his belts like that. And nobody cared at the time. It didn't bother me. I was screaming, fight Frankie Edgar, fight this person, fight that person. But he had no desires. And he was really big for featherweight as well. And he went to 55, beat the brakes off of Eddie Alvarez, made it look like easy work, and the rest is history. And I feel like that, even though it was sensational, and I'm not mad at Conor for doing it and propelled him to new heights, and that's how he fought Floyd Mayweather, that ultimately impacted the rest of the fighters saying, I want to do the same thing.
Yeah, man.
So as great as it was to get eyeballs on MMA and it grew the sport, I think it affected the way champions look at it. Where you see everybody trying to jump up and not clear divisions.
Right. I would say this. Then. I agree.
I just want to say one quick thing. I don't think fighters care about being the greatest welterweight of all time. You can have that. I want to be Conor. I don't want to be the greatest middleweight of all time. I want to be Conor. I want to be this person who bounces around. Go ahead.
No, I'm glad that you said it because I was just about to say that. But you're not Conor. But you're not Conor.
Yet again, I agree.
So, because I also envision myself being able to do certain things, but I know that unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to skip certain steps in order to get to a certain position. I'm going to have to go the hardest route, and sometimes going that hardest path, right, it gives you the biggest rewards, right? And for me, it's just like having those list of names. And the thing is, I'm so scared to give them because I don't want those obstacles to be pretty much put in front of me. You know what I'm saying? At a time where it's just like it's pivotal for me to keep moving down this momentum, right? Down this path where I'm at. But like I said, the names that I got in my head that is realistic fights that actually happen is gonna put me in my own GOAT status, right? Realm where not only considered one of the best welterweight fighters of all time, but actually a GOAT as well because I want to transition and get multiple belts as well. But I know that at the end of the day, I want to clear out my division. I want to get the names, the upcoming killers, all the guys that everybody talking about. Oh, this gonna be the dude to take them out. Let me get that dude, right? And then once I done that, I done all the things I'm supposed to do. Now we move up and do whatever, you know what I'm saying, who's ever on the top spot at 185. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's the kind of recipe to really kind of put yourself in that position. Other than that, bro, you just jumping just to jump. Don't make no sense.
No, I agree. I think, with a recent title fight that's happened with Alex Pereira, excuse me, I think that probably will help a little bit, now that it's kind of slowed him down in the sense that, maybe him and Magomed and Kalaev will have to fight again, and
Right.
we won't get that Jon Jones talk right away and all that, this and that. Guys will have to slow down a little bit, and it'll make them focus on, defending their own belts and clearing out divisions. With that being said, another big announcement, Alexander Volkanovski will be facing Diego Lopez. What are your thoughts about that fight? They were also at their press as well. It seemed like they had a friendly, more calm back and forth.
I would say this. If Volkanovski couldn't do anything else, that nigga could sing, bro. Hey, the way I don't know if you saw that shit, bro.
I did. You said he could cook a steak and he could sing. He got a career outside of MMA. He doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, he doing the wrong thing. Definitely will buy Volkanovski album right now. But regardless though, I think that is a dope fight. Obviously, right. There's actually, man, I ain't gonna lie, it ain't like a big step or a big skip for Diego. He been working up the ladder like he should, you know what I'm saying? But it's definitely gonna be one of his biggest tests, obviously, right? But
first champion for sure.
First champion, and then also now the belt is on the line, so everything is on the line with a win. But I feel like with Diego and Alex Volkanovski, like it will be a fun matchup. I feel like Diego, with his style, with his pressure, with his wildness, right, and how he just throw hands, it's gonna be a little stressful for Volkanovski. But I feel like with him, he's still a smart fighter. Very poised in a lot of positions that he do. So I feel like he would just have to find his shots, man, and just be a vet in this fight, right, and kind of take Diego in deep waters, which he never fought in 5 rounds before, right? So try to get the young buck, the 5 rounds and see if he'll last. But bro, that boy momentum is just crazy right now. So I could definitely see Diego, clipping Alex Volkanovski, man, and calling it a day.
I guess for me, this will show where Volkanovski's at. Obviously, if you talk about featherweights, he's got to be on a short list of the best ever to do it.
Mm-hmm.
in somewhere in that conversation, in my top 3, I think at featherweight, what he's been able to do, and that's a tough weight class as far as goats go. But I think it'll show exactly where he's at in his career. Volkanovski is someone that we saw fight somebody like Brian Ortega, who had crazy jiu-jitsu and who can strike. We've seen him go against Max Holloway and shut him out, beat him in 3 fights. Mm-hmm. So I would say for Volkanovski, this is something that he should be able to handle if he's at the same championship criteria that he once was at. We've seen him get a lot of losses in a row, unfortunately. So this will tell us a lot from where he's at. I think that if he's the Volkanovski of old, not that it should be an easy fight, but he shouldn't get finished by a Diego Lopez.
But I really feel like that's the only way that Diego is going to be able to win is by finishing Alexander Volkanovski.
So crazy too, because Volkanovski used to never get finished.
No, right, but it's just it's sad because all it takes is one time, and then it's like a domino effect. But regardless, though, I would actually say he ain't fought nobody like this. Like skill wise, when it comes to the striking and jiu-jitsu, definitely. But how Diego fights is so reckless, bro.
He is.
You know what I mean?
He's more aggressive than
very
than Brian
aggressive.
Ortega.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that the size of Brian Ortega compared Diego looks to be more of Volkanovski's size.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that the striking should really be dictated on both fighters' terms evenly versus him having a major size advantage against somebody like a Max Holloway.
Right,
so just from my perspective, quickly, Volkanovski should be more than comfortable. And I don't like talking down on fighters. Diego Lopez has fast hands and hits hard, but I don't know if he's the cleanest striker that Volkanovski.
You ain't talking down on any nigga that be before he strike.
I don't know that he's the cleanest striker that Volkanovski. He has a ton of power, very talented guy. I don't want my words to be minced here, but I just want to say that I think that if Volkanovski's to the level that we've seen before, this is something that he has seen before in some capacity. And I think this will be the first time Diego Lopez sees an Alexander Volkanovski. I think this is the clearest, toughest fight that he's faced outside of Mosar Yuvoyev on short notice.
Of course.
So with that being said, if Volkanovski's unable to get the job done, do you feel like he should call it quits?
Like I said, man, my man definitely got a singing career, dog. He definitely going to voice. So like that. Cause what was that? Matter of fact, hold on, bro. I'm gonna just go ahead.
I know exactly. He was singing one of that little emo song, yeah.
Cause tonight will be the night. And he hit that note like crazy, but
and he kept going too, yeah.
But just to be serious, it's like what else can you do, right? Like, and especially cool because the belt is on the line, right? So you ain't just fighting no rando, you know what I mean? Just to see where you at. You actually fighting with the belt on the line. But if you don't win that, it's just like, what is the next pursuit? Like, what is the next, route for you when it comes into your career? Because you didn't kind of lay it out already, a resume that, many people aren't going to be able to match. Even if they did beat you, like, let's see if they can repeat what you did, which a lot probably won't. But regardless of that, that's only up to that man, so whatever's, in his mind, to be able to pursue after that, obviously probably won't be going up in weight, at 155 or anything like that, but just to make, like we talk about all the time, just them big name fights, right? Just those massive name fights that you always wanted to see or just, have fun with, you can probably do something like that, but other than that, bro, shit, I hang it up.
No, I agree. I think that he's been one of those people who has cemented their legacy. We say that often, but I think Volkanovski is clear Hall of Famer. What he's been able to do in the time, beat Max Holloway, 3 times? And just the success that he had at featherweight, undefeated until going up to fight the pound for pound, Islam and, all that. Him not experiencing losses to that, and you've seen Topuria, be undefeated now and not have any losses. For me, I think for him, it's okay. Obviously, I don't write the rules. Volkanovski's a champion. He's his own man. He has his family and other people who can advise him. But I don't think he has anything to prove to anyone. And if he's not able to fight at a championship standard, I feel like he would do himself a service by preserving his legacy. And, I think some guys, and I don't want to mention anybody, but, we've seen some guys stick around and find that we stick around and fight fights that you kind of wish they didn't. And, they're still getting big marquee matchups, but they're not the champion that they used to be. And some of the new fans who come into the sport don't realize that they're one of the greatest of all time in this particular field. And they're seeing them fight at a tier lower than what we're used to. So I don't want to see Volkanovski fall into that. But that being said, he might have a lot of fight in him. This might be Diego Lopez's stiffest competition, and he might be a champion again. So I don't want to count him out before, but I just wanted to address that.
100%.
Also, Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblet has been announced. Does this fight excite you? And what do you think this does for the lightweight division? Oftentimes we talk about those rank guys. I call them, the core guys at 55. We got Michael Chandler, we got Dustin Poirier, we got Justin Gaethje, we got Charles Oliveira, and they've been just kind of at the top of the division for a long time. Do you feel like this kind of helps settle some of that?
Yeah, because you got some young dogs ready to eat, man, ready to put themselves in that position too. So with that being said, shout out to Michael Chandler, for stop trying to find that fight with Conor, you know what I'm saying?
He's still waiting though too.
That's crazy wait.
You go ahead though.
But I think this is a great fight, great matchup. It should be entertaining, especially with Paddy, right? He's not scared to fight on the feet. What do you say? Scousers don't get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, if you really feel like that, let Michael Chandler, you know what I'm saying, prove you wrong on that one, right? But I think with Paddy and Michael Chandler having that situation where now you got a new name, a new face, right? Being able to pretty much make some noise, right? Obviously building off your back, right, with Michael Chandler. I feel like this is just a great opportunity for Paddy, you know what I'm saying, to kind of make some noise and really become the superstar that a lot of people already thought he was. Mm-hmm.
I think it's the perfect fight for both individuals for everything that you just said. I think Michael Chandler gets a chance to prove that the guys who I mentioned before, we there for a reason. The guys like Paddy Pimblet and the Mauricio Rufis and everybody else who's kind of coming up, we've done the things, and when they get in there with us, we're gonna show them. Like when Dustin Poirier took out Benoit Saint Denis,
Mm-hmm.
I think that they get the opportunity to kind of he gets the opportunity to carry that flag for the veterans who've been in this sport for a long time and show why they've been at the cream of the crop and why they're at the top of the division. And I think for Paddy Pimblet, you want one of those names. If you ever want to be a champion, you typically have to beat somebody who's been at the top of the game. Beat one of those, not a gatekeeper, but beat one of those guys who've contended for a title or been in the top 5, top 6, whatever the case may be, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Michael Chandler, this tells me a lot about my future in the UFC. Somebody like a Paddy Pimblet, who's primarily a grappler, Michael Chandler having the wrestling success that he's had and a really good top game and being successful like that, should be able to keep the fight on the feet, and he should have a lot of clear advantages over someone like Paddy Pimblet.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the best case for him to get that red penny night that he wants
Mm-hmm.
with Conor McGregor, or get himself back to title contention. So I'm excited for this fight because it does kind of declutter things and give us some clear answers on what's next for the lightweight division. So I'm excited.
100%, man. Yeah, I'm ready. I want to see somebody get taken to the king as
And
always,
I
man.
think this
This
is
the
the fight.
perfect fight.
I think this is the fight. So there was some kind of swapping in your weight class. You have now Belal Muhammad supposed to fight JDM, and then you have Leon Edwards supposed to fight Sean Brady. Just kind of your thoughts about fights in the welterweight division and just how you see those things playing out in the next upcoming weeks.
I think it plays out well. I don't know if you paid attention though, but just in that last fight card with Ankalaev and Alex Pereira, DC kind of shouted out that they was gonna call me for that situation to fight Bilal, right? But things just changed up and they wanted JDM, to happen. But I think in all God's timing, right? You know what I mean? Like it's just I get to see how everybody move and how everything work. With the Leon and Sean Brady, situation. I think with those two guys, they fighting each other. They both speaking about with a good win or a dominant performance. It puts them in title contention. But I feel like just with their style and how they fight, they're not gonna put on the type of performance, right? That's gonna lead to that being said. So yet again, we just waiting. But the UFC know what comes with me and then how I get down. So I'm just looking at all these fights, man, and just like, hey, bro, I'm just waiting on my opportunity, man, to get called for that title. So whether it's Bilal beat JDM or JDM beat Bilal, don't matter to me. Whether Leon beat Sean Brady or Sean Brady, that shit don't matter to me, bro. It's just like I'm just waiting on my time, bro, to get that title, dog.
Not that you have a horse in the race, and I know you really don't care. Me and you've discussed this on many occasions.
Uh,
But how do you see the fight playing out? If you had to, your Mystic Mansa, if you had to pick how you saw those particular matchups playing out, who do you get an edge?
if
Bilal
I see,
versus JDM, and then Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady.
that's cool.
Like,
with Bilal, right? He got them pillow hands. You know what I'm saying? So he not gonna be really looking to strike with JDM. It's not gonna be a fight where it's back and forth on the feet. I really see Bilal really kind of taking advantage of what he's seen, what Gilbert Burns did to JDM, right? And was really able to control that fight on the ground. And obviously with Gilbert Burns being such a high level, grappler and jiu-jitsu and everything of that nature, right? I think Bilal can do the same thing with JDM. But with that being said, JDM has a early opportunity within the fight to kind of clip Bilal, right? So if Bilal stays safe and he stays away, you know what I'm saying, finds time to clinch, I can see him riding out a decision, but he has to make sure within that first and that second round, bro, that he stays safe, right? So the other fight with Leon and Sean Brady, it's kind of similar, but I think Leon would be good enough, right, to keep the fight from going to the ground, right? I think with Leon's movement, feints, you know what I'm saying, him in and out pressure, I think it's gonna really kind of frustrate Sean Brady and actually probably get that nigga tentative, to even do anything because of his low level striking in general, right? With Leon, I feel like he has the ability to kind of expose a lot of guys, but he don't like to take risks, right? And with that being said, it's gonna lead to a performance that it's not gonna be really fun to watch. Niggas gonna be sleeping London again like this. Right? But Leon is gonna win another decision. So you're gonna have the 2 decision wins, one Belal, one Leon. And yeah, that's it. That's Mr. Mansa right there. Prediction for those fights.
Very cut and dry, but I like it. I think Belal should have what it takes to beat JDM, only for one reason. Belal prepares better than anybody, in my opinion, as far as coming with a viable game plan. And I don't know if JDM is more well-rounded than what we've seen, but the small sample size of him being on the ground and stuff like that, it didn't seem like he was the most well-versed against a really, really good grappler. Obviously, Gilbert Burns is no slouch. We know the pedigree and resume that he has with his jiu-jitsu and being able to get guys in those positions and things of that nature. And then, obviously JDM has that power and has really crisp, sharp boxing. I think Belal is just smart enough to kind of negate that. I think he's seen crazier strikers than JDM, and he's gone through those situations where he has gotten clipped and he's really cleaned a lot of that stuff up and found ways to negate really, really good strikers. So I think Belal probably can get his hand raised via decision. I agree. And outside of Belal, we've not really seen anybody have that success over Leon Edwards with the grappling since Kamaru Usman's first fight with him a way long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you mentioned it. Leon said his circadian rhythm was off. He just was tired and sleepy or whatever the case may be. But I think he'll be a lot more alert for this fight. And I think that Sean Brady will have a hard time fighting the distance and really be able to fight Leon's fight. I won't give my keys to victory, so to speak, but for multiple reasons, I think Leon will find his pace in that fight and be able to keep Sean Brady at the end of this bunch of the kicks, and we won't see all of that much grappling. But there's a chance because Belal did a really good job of laying the blueprint for a Sean Brady. Maybe he could steal some of that. So I think decision either way. But I like your picks on those. I don't disagree. Next, Dana White said Jon Jones is to return this summer, and he'll be back fighting sometime in the summer. So with Magomed Ankalaev defeating Alex Pereira, and they're supposed to fight again in a rematch, what do you think is next for Jon Jones? Do you think he finally will have to fight somebody like a Tom Aspinall, or who out there could for him to fight? What big star is there?
No. Dana said, no, you fighting Tom. That's what everybody was asking too. Like, is it gonna be a Pereira? He said, no, he fighting Tom. So Dana has officially said that Jon will be back during the summer, and he got to defend that belt, and it got to be against Tom Aspinall, which that's perfect, So Jon Jones, and he probably jokingly doing it, but at the same time, he dead ass serious. He don't want to fight that boy, right? He really is ducking. So regardless of what negotiations look like, if Jon Jones does step out there, I'm assuming that Jon Jones got what he wanted, right? So we'll actually be able to see the fight that we all want to see. But I'm excited for it, bro, because that's the fight right there, man. One of the best to ever do it. You know what I'm saying? Versus young and upcoming dude like Jon Jones go through that dude. It's just hard to argue.
No, I agree. I think that Jon Jones can, if he's able to beat a Tom Aspinall, he'll deal with a lot of critics as myself. I think anytime where you defeat someone for a belt and it's not the actual champion, and then you fight somebody like a Stipe Miocic, who is well out of title contention at that point in his career. I think, a lot of people say, oh, well, Jon doesn't owe it to anybody. But you do. You as the champion, you carrying that flag. You have to fight the best in the world. You don't pick and choose. If you want to be a legend and just be the GOAT, cool, you can fight whoever you want to. I think Jon Jones just earned that right to say, I don't need a belt. I do honestly think that he's bigger
than the belt.
Than the belt itself. But if you have that belt, you owe it to what that belt stands for. With one thing we just spoke about with the previous title fight, I think a lot of people, whether they wanted to admit it or not, we got what we needed in MMA as far as the sense of that belt represents what it should represent. You saw Alex Pereira fight Khalil Rountree, who again was ranked, I think, number 6 or 7 at the time when they fought. And Ankalaev was already one of the top-ranked individuals. And you get to see that belt means the best in the world. Period. That's the difference between the MMA game from the boxing game. We get to see the best guys fight each other all the time. it's very rare that we don't get to see the best two guys fight, or Dana doesn't try to book it. Whether it's a Habib and Tony Ferguson situation where it gets canceled 4 times through the craziest things, they try to make those fights happen to the best of their ability. So I think Jon Jones does owe it to the crop of his peers as being a champion, and he gets a chance to do something that really nobody really has done, as defend those belts and put himself submit himself, just say, hey guys, I really am the GOAT over everyone. Look at this. Not that he needs to, but that's a huge feather in his cap to beat somebody as Tom Aspinall, undefeated. And at John's, how long he's been fighting, for him to do that, I think that just put another wrinkle in his cap. Future solidify how much of a Hall of Famer and his GOAT status if he wants to do that.
100%. And like you said, bro, with winning that title, winning that belt, bro, you owe that to, you know what I'm saying, the, not promotion, but what that belt stands for, right? And with you being such at a high level, right, you always know that at the end of the day, no matter who you fight next, that's the next best guy to fight for that belt. You know what I mean? So as a champion, you hold that responsibility to always bring up that next best guy, you know what I'm saying, and face him and challenge him, and not look at, you know what I'm saying, the greatest opportunities when it comes to just the paycheck wise. Yeah.
And I think too, like, if you want to do that, just vacate the title. But playing devil's advocate too, I don't know who John could face. I hate to say it, the UFC isn't the most star-rich for just like.
That's what I was saying. Last time,
for like random loose matchups. Like, who is there? There's not the Brock Lesnar's, and he doesn't have a foe like Daniel Cormier. There isn't, even some of the big stars that we used to see, like an Alistair Overeem or the Ngannous. There's nobody there outside of Tom. I think that's the only guy you really could make it. Does he want to go down to 205 and fight Ankalaev? I don't know if John wants to do that, so I don't know who would he want to fight. And obviously Tom and Ankalaev, but neither one are like the massive star that he wants.
Right.
So you probably would go with the, stay the big size, not have to cut the weight. And, I don't know what he would expect from a potential challenger.
And like you said, not many stars already in the game. So it's just like with the whole Alex Pereira situation, right? Alex Pereira would have won, bro, John would have been, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He was like, yeah, come on, bring that ass up. But yeah, no, it is difficult, but you do have one, which is Tom right now, right? And luckily, Tom does have a name for himself right now, and he is a big enough star where, everybody wants to see this fight, in real time. So with that being said, it's just like, use that, and I don't know what actually Jon Jones goes after that, because for real, once he beats Tom, like what's next? You know what I'm saying? Besides just murdering some other little, pole heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? So
go off in the sunset. I think he'll get the damn near perfect retirement that that he deserves at that point. Unless they can somehow figure out how to get Francis Ngannou back in the mix.
That'd be wild.
I think that's the only thing he could do. I don't think there's anybody else out there for Jon Jones to face. Do we want to see him fight somebody like Alexander Volkov? Do we want to see him fight somebody who's kind of contending in that range? I don't know that I care to see it. I think Tom Aspinall's good enough. If he wants to stick around after that, he's just doing everybody extra service. I think Jon Jones will submit himself as, it'd be hard to argue against if he can beat Tom Aspinall. And that's coming from somebody who's really never given Jon Jones really that GOAT status as solidified number one. So if he does that, it'd be hard to argue against it for sure. Next on our list, we have the TKO Group has a new partnership with the Saudis to form a new promotion. Turki Al-Sheikh has announced the boxing promotion will be overseen by Dana White. My question to you, Joaquin, how does this affect combat sports in general, boxing, MMA? And do you think we'll finally get to see the matchups we want to see, something like a Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez? Does this put pressure on the rest of the boxing world to give us those marquee matchups like MMA gives us?
Well, that's why His Excellency, the Turkey, got Dana involved, because he's seeing how the UFC runs the promotion, bro. They put the best up against the best. Like we just talking about these belts, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you get. And seeing how boxing is sometimes ran, we never really get the fights that we want to see. And then by the time we see it, bro, like, damn, it's just like, this shit old now, right? So I believe with TKO being involved, right, and having these high level, because if I'm not mistaken, because I think it's still a lot of things they trying to do and trying to really figure out to be able to create this, right, and to make this a sanctioned promotion while creating their own belt. Right, and this ain't like a belt where they be like, okay, this is under this ranking. This is like they had their own ranking system and everything like that, but they have to first get that sanctioned and everything. But with that being said, I think Canelo is on here. I think Shakur is a part of this. I think Bud is a part of all this now. So having these names and having it pretty much the stars of boxing being a part of this is very important. But now we finally get to see the fights that we all want to see instead of that whole debate, you know what I'm saying, from rival promotions not making certain money or two fighters literally trying to duck each other. That's really what it is, right? So with TKO box promotion, with His Excellency Turkey and Dana all working together, we finally gonna see some, some real cool fights, man, made in boxing in this era.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's exciting. I think just the pure potential what His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh has already been able to do in the small time that you've really seen him really come to the forefront with things, kind of getting the ball moving on bigger matchups, and if nothing else, really putting it into the forefront of people talking about it. Doing everything in his power to make sure that we get the marquee
Yeah,
matchups that we want to see.
and that's the crazy part. Like UFC, boy, they so funny, bro. So they using all the Turk money. Cause I was gonna wonder like how the pay grade gonna be,
Yeah.
right? But ain't nobody taking no pay cuts, right?
Yeah.
With being involved with TKO, Turk is being able to funnel all this. Though he just throwing money at it, right? Like right now he got a fight going on in New York. You know what I'm saying? Where the fuck he having it? Like I think they literally down there having it outside and at the square, whatever. But just seeing like what he's able to do because all the money that he's able to just pretty much throw out there and the things that he's able to create and the moves he's able to make is like, bro, it's wild, And be honest with you, if I'm a UFC fighter, I'm looking at this as a great opportunity for myself. Like the one thing Dane was like, man, I don't want no UFC guys boxing. And that's cool, right? Because I always say, hey, UFC dudes, stay away from boxing. But for me, I know my potential and I know what I can do, right? And now that you got WWE, TKO, and now the UFC all working together, we can all bridge that as a opportunity, right, to mix it all in. And I can actually be able to sell myself to not only with the UFC audience, but be able to go into the boxing audience as well, right? And I believe that TKO does need that help as well to have fighters like myself being able to bring out some of these boxers, right? And instead of, just mixing up with a random little boxer, because that's the thing, boxing ain't got a lot of stars, period. Not at all, actually. They probably only got 10 good names out there that a lot of people know. But why not use your UFC athletes that you have that really do have, good ability in the boxing game, right? And actually use that to actually sell some of this, the fights and give some that I think people would love to see, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of people still kind of like a little iffy about this, even though they got these big names like Canelo and they got Shakur Stevenson and they got Bud. It's just like at the end of the day, you still got names to push this promotion.
I guess that leads me to my next question. Do you think that we finally get some of those crossover matchups that would probably be more competitive? For instance, like somebody like we spoke about it previously. We were just kind of riffing, but if somebody like Tank Davis or would fight somebody like a Ilia Topuria, somebody who's more competent with their hands, with a more striking style, who isn't really late in their career, do you feel like we can get some of those more marquee matchups? Maybe a Bud versus somebody in that sphere.
Right. I believe so, right? Because at the end of the day, it just has to make sense for both parties, and obviously it makes sense for us, right? Because of obviously the opportunity of fighting a boxer, but at the end of the day, the UFC don't want their fighters to be embarrassed or being knocked out, whatever. You know what I mean? So you really have to just put in your work and put in pretty much the time to actually show people like, hey, bro, like I definitely can go out there, I can compete with these guys, and I can show not only just the best boxer in the world, but this promotion that I can actually be a champion here. Because don't get it twisted, you can become a champion at TKO promotion, right? They will have a belt, you know what I mean, signed for it, and I think that'd be cool. That'd be another transition for another UFC guy to kind of look at that as an opportunity, be like, hey, not only can I win a belt here in the UFC, but now I'm still signed with the same folks. Go right here to TKO boxing, and I'll be honest with you, that's the transition for MMA guys, right? For me, it's just like because this sport that we're in, it's not the trauma that we have on our brain, it's the joints and you know what I mean, all the aching shit. So I feel like as we get older in bigger weight classes, right, it's just like it's harder to kind of sustain that career. But I feel like if you got an in between where you've been working on certain stuff, you can kind of bridge that gap and be able to move, you know what I mean, at a perfect time. So for me in my route, bro, I'm like, bro, that's a perfect opportunity, man, to really kind of look at different ventures right after I win that belt.
Perfect. So my question to you, if you had to box anybody for TKO promotions, would you prefer to fight another MMA guy, a boxer, influencer, whoever? Who would you prefer and why?
The boxer. If you gonna prove that you a boxer, if you prove that you can box, don't go against no MMA guy. You know, like for my personal opinion, that's why I'm getting away from it because I don't want to fight no MMA guys. I didn't already fought you in the UFC. I done that part. Doing all the work that I'm doing right now and building these steps brick by brick, right? I'm setting up in a position where I do want to see these guys in boxing now. So I would love to see a Bud. I would love to see a Canelo. I would love to see Benavidez. I would love to see a Bivol. And people are like, man, you crazy as hell. But now that I look at it and I'm really starting to see, like, I'm like, the only reason why I say that, I was like, bro, I don't want to do that because I seen what happened to other niggas. But then I realized, but them niggas not me, right? So I got to realize that those guys have not taken it seriously. They have not devoted time. They have not put in the work that I put in, and I've actually trained with boxers. I've actually went to gyms with Joshua Temple, Brandon Martin, you know what I mean? Von Alexander, when this dude just got out of prison, you know what I'm saying? I was the first dude to spar his ass, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just like I actually put in the actual work and time to actually learn this sport and for what it is. And a lot of guys, they would get into it for the wrong reasons, which is money. But my thing is, it's just that at the end of the day, if you prepare yourself and you put yourself in a position to be successful, you will be successful. So with that being said, I would love to see a Canelo. I would love to see a Bud. I would love to see a Bivol. And I would definitely want to be one of those ones because I do want to make my, I don't matter who I get first, as long as I get them. But this is a great opportunity for me now that it's just like I got big dreams and I want to be that nigga like Conor, right? But I can't do it like Conor. What can I do to set myself aside that's really going to make me great? So once I win that UFC title and I clear out this division and I fight the names that I want, I still want to be great. I still want to make all this money. TKO is the perfect opportunity now, right? Because now I got that name. If I do all the things I plan on doing, I got the name now. Now I can see the other people that's actually making that bread, knock their ass out, be one of the greatest combat athletes on the planet.
That's what's up. So boxer for sure. Somebody like a Jake Paul doesn't interest you. You want to fight one of the best in the world.
Jake Paul, wait. So you got to stop because you bullshit. Jake Paul a boxer. Jake Paul is a great opportunity, right? Because he also, not gonna lie to you, bro, like that nigga inspired me, bro. All this shit, even I like that boy that inspired me because it's just like you see what he doing and you see how close he is to actually probably getting to these names. Now, whether he win or lose, down curve, but you see how close he is getting and how he's speaking and how he promoting himself, he's getting there, right? And my thing is, instead of looking at that and hating on a nigga, like, damn, maybe I could talk my shit and go ahead and work towards something great, right?
The only pushback I have on you is not the fact that Jake Paul not a boxer. He trained like a boxer. Mm-hmm. He sells boxing matches. Mm-hmm. He don't like to box boxers. Right. That's the issue.
But that's fine.
Fish swim.
That's fine because I look.
Birds fly. He like to do different stuff.
Right. So
he want to swim against a bird or something. And that's my issue with Jake Paul.
And that's fine, right? But when you're talking about the opportunity, I'm taking that opportunity with Jake Paul. You understand what I'm saying?
Would you rather? So I'm just.
All right, then go ahead.
No, would you rather Jake Paul, Bud Crawford?
Why not both?
I'm asking.
But why not both? But why not both though? No, I get what you're saying.
If I give you both, I give you both. If you got a contract, they say this person to this person. Would you sign? They don't do.
Hold on. So am I getting paid more, less? What's up, man? You got to give me some more tangibles.
If the pay is the same, are you taking Jake Paul? Or you taking Bud Crawford?
Bro, do I look like a fool, nigga? Well, I'm taking the problem, nigga. Whooping that ass. Yeah, so, I'm taking Jake Paul, yes.
Oh, so we taking a problem or we taking Canelo Alvarez?
For the same check?
Same check.
Jake Paul, spin him around.
Okay.
For the same check? Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on from Jake Paul.
Okay, 100.
Let's take Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, not Jake Paul. Let's take Canelo Alvarez. Or let's take Bud Crawford. You gotta be a fair way.
I know. Yeah. Motherfuckers not gonna like me when I say this. And they might not understand why I say this, but I'm gonna say Canelo.
I get it.
I'm going to say Canelo. And the reason why is because Canelo do leave holes open for you to have opportunity. But it'd be a lot harder. But it'd be a whole chess match, you know.
I think Canelo is the more egotistical boxer, if you will. So I can see why you said that. I think we'll leave it at that. I like that.
No, I mean, but you know, my thing is now, it can't. My thing is nobody gonna believe the vision until it happens, and it's just it's a beautiful thing to be in a situation where it's just like God had already shown me exactly where I was and where I got to. Boy, don't think that you can't do more, right? It's just like I cannot allow myself to keep still thinking in a box and be small, but run after that shit. Run after it, you know? So it's just like as we build and as we growing, it's just don't forget, like, at the end of the day, all this shit is possible. All this shit is possible. I'm in the same fucking promotion as the niggas that we talking about. Don't think that you can't be in that same position. The Alex Pereiras, the motherfucking Islam, Makachevs, all these niggas. I can see every single one of these motherfuckers. But my thing is, though, a lot of people have been given certain opportunities and been blessed in certain type of ways that I ain't seen yet. And, bro, like, dude, we hungry, bro. I don't know about you, nigga, but I'm tired of being, I like host, but, like, I'm ready to build, right? I'm ready to do certain stuff that at the end of the day, it's like, it's time to go get it, you know? And it's just like, bro, I'm just on that type of time. I'm ready.
Thank you for watching another episode of Brick Brothers Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, be a brick.